Namaste, I am Dr. S. Padmapriya speaking to you. Today I will be covering Lesson 8, which is Efficiency Criteria of Unit 1, Microeconomics of UGC Net Economics Syllabus. Now, all these concepts of efficiency criteria, Pareto's optimality, Kaldor-Hicks, and wealth maximization comes under welfare economics. It was Professor Lionel Robbins' ethical neutrality view about economics that led to the development of welfare economics as an important field of economic studies. Different economists have different views on the idea of welfare economics. Wilfredo Pareto discussed the idea of maximizing social welfare on the basis of general optimum conditions. Alfred Marshall and Pigou, the neoclassical economists, focused on specific sectors of the economic system as they developed some postulates of welfare economics. The foundations of new welfare economics were laid by Kaldor, Hicks, and Skidovsky. They used the compensation principle, avoiding all value judgments. Economists like Bergson, Samuelson, and others developed the idea of social welfare function without sacrificing all value judgments. In the words of Skidovsky, welfare economics is that part of the general body of economic theory which is concerned primarily with policy. Whenever the economist advocates a policy, for example, when he favors full employment or opposes government interference in economic affairs, he makes a welfare proposition. What is Paretian criterion? It was given by Wilfredo Pareto. It is also called Pareto optimality, Pareto unanimity rule, Paretian optimum, social optimum, general optimum. In Pareto's words, we are led to define as the position of maximum optimality welfare, one where it is possible to make a small change of any sort such that optimality of all the individuals except those that remain constant are either all increased or all diminished. Pareto's optimality can be explained using Samuelson's utility possibility curve. So here we have the graph 8.1 where we are able to show Pareto optimal situation. In the above graph, we assume that there are two individuals, A and B, who are sharing a given bundle of good X. A's utility is represented on the horizontal axis and B's utility is taken on the vertical axis. BA is the utility possibility curve of all combinations of the individual utilities. Any change which leads to a movement from R to T on the production possibility curve is an improvement in welfare because it makes both individuals better off, thereby maximizing the welfare. Now, what are the conditions of Pareto's optimality? Efficiency in exchange, where the required condition is that the marginal rate of substitution between any two products must be the same for every individual who consumes both. In the above graph 8.2, R, S and T are three conceivable points of exchange on the contract curve CC. The contract curve shows the various points of exchange that equalize the marginal rates of substitution of good X and Y. Good X we know is taken along the x-axis and good Y is taken along the y-axis. Then we have efficiency in production. It requires that the marginal rate of technical substitution between any two factors must be the same for any two firms using these factors to produce the same product. Also, the marginal productivity of any factor in producing a particular product must be the same for all the firms. In addition, the marginal rate of transformation between any two products must be the same for any two firms that produce both. Then we have efficiency in exchange and production. Pareto's optimality under perfect competition requires that marginal rate of substitution between two products must equal the marginal rate of transformation between them. It means there must be simultaneous efficiency in consumption and production. Limitations. Paretian optimality cannot be achieved under imperfect competition. Presence of externalities in production and consumption cannot lead to Pareto non-optimality. Paretian optimality cannot be achieved in the scenario of public goods. Paretian optimality cannot be achieved under increasing returns to scale. So, what are the advantages of the Pareto criterion? The Pareto criterion is free from making any interpersonal comparisons. In addition, it is very ethical and positive, with the ideation of one always wanting to do good to all. Criticisms. Pareto himself pointed out that there are an infinite number of points at which maxima of individual optimalities are attained. According to Dr. Dobb, the Paretian conditions of optimality are insufficient conditions to characterize a position as optimum. Many later welfare economists considered each Paretian optimum as suboptimal. In order to decide the social optimum position, the intervention of a value judgment on income distribution and other matters is required. It was claimed that the Paretian criterion was free from value judgment. But how is it possible to make every person better off without making anyone worse off, which by itself is a value judgment? So Pareto has evaluated only unambiguous changes in welfare. And now we come to the concept of new welfare economics, the compensation criterion. The compensation criterion is the new welfare economics. It was formulated by Hicks, Calder and Skitovsky. According to Calder, the test of increase in social welfare is that if some people are made better off and others worse off, the gainers from the change could more than compensate the losers and yet be better off themselves. The Hicks-Calder criterion implies that if an economic change leads to the production of more goods and services, they could be distributed to make some people better off and none worse off. Welfare maximization. The simple analytics of welfare maximization was given by Professor Bator. It provides a determinate and unique solution to the problem of maximization of social welfare by combining the Pareto optimality conditions with the social welfare function. Assumption. There are two homogeneous and perfectly divisible inputs, labor and capital. The two are supplied in fixed quantities. Only two homogeneous goods X and Y are produced in the economy. There are only two individuals A and B in the economy. There is a social welfare function that is based on the positions of A and B in their own preference scale. Point of constrained bliss. Now, this is graph 8.3. Here we are able to see that A's utility has been taken along the x-axis and B's utility has been taken along the y-axis. And here you are having W1, W2 and W, which are three social welfare functions or social indifference curves of the society. The consumer A's welfare is taken along the x-axis and consumer B's welfare is taken along the y-axis. Social welfare will be maximized where the grand utility possibility curve is tangent to a social welfare curve. In the above graph, L is the point of maximum social welfare as determined by the tangency of W1 and RT curve. The point L is also known as point of constrained bliss because the movement away from the point L along the RT curve will reduce total social welfare. Take point K or G on the grand possibility curve RT. They represent a lower level of welfare because they are on the lower social welfare curve W. All points including U on W2 are beyond the reach of society because of given factor endowment and technology. Only L is the point of maximum social welfare. It is the point where the general equilibrium conditions of production and exchange are simultaneously satisfied. Thank you. You can refer to my other YouTube videos if you want to gain greater knowledge about various aspects of microeconomics. I am covering the entire subject of microeconomics and the introduction to economics in various YouTube videos. Thank you very much.